What's up, gamers? We're back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and this is a very exciting video because we're going to talk about mastery builds, and we're going to talk about the 10,000 plus unit build that Turbo Tim has. What's up, Turbo Tim?
Not too much. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, now Turbo Tim has got his mastery build at total boss mode, and there is a link in the description to his channel. Be sure to check out it. He has tons of great content, and we're going to go back and forth, and we're going to look at my build, which is about 5,000, and we're going to look at his build, which is about 10,000, and then we're also going to talk about an economical build that is, what do you think, about under 1,500?
About under 1,500, yeah.
Yeah, that is also very good. Now, let's take a look at your build here really quick. What was the purpose of your build, and why did you build it this way?
Purpose of mine basically is for Lion's Quest. That's what I like doing. That's my favorite thing in the game to play. So I catered mine towards that.
Yeah, what team are you using? Because I was looking at your build here pretty closely, and there's a lot of stuff in there that is unique to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff is kind of unconventional to what a lot of people usually use. And I use Doctor Strange, 4-star Doctor Strange, 4-star Scarlet Witch, and a 4-star Thor. And the reason I use that team is because it's a high block proficient team with also very strong characters in there.
Yeah, and then with Thor, you're using a stun combo with armor break, and that way you can do like 100,000 points of damage with your third special.
That's correct. Yeah, his signature ability when Thor's awakened is that Ragnarok, and once you parry, you can get armor breaks, and you can stack them. And I usually stack about 3, and with the special 3, it's about 100,000 points.
Yeah, and I've seen those videos on your channel, and they are amazing. It's really the only way to beat the mini-bosses and the bosses easily inside of Map 5 Alliance Quest, and I am totally impressed with that dude. All right, let's take a look at the offense build first, and why don't we just talk about like the must-haves, the essentials on the build, and then we'll work up to my build, and then we'll look at your build. What are the essentials you think on, you know, a basic good build in offense?
Basically, well, you have to have one in strength to open up the rest of the tree. You have to have one in greater strength to open up the rest of the tree. I don't really add more of those because I don't see the big benefit for them. That, you know, they're right in the beginning of the game, but later on they're not very useful. Pierce is essential to have maxed out.
Yeah, got to have 3 of 3 in Pierce, right?
3 of 3 in Pierce. A lot of people like Courage. I do like Courage. If I could have it on mine, I would, but I just needed the points elsewhere, so it's something I could give up because I use Doctor Strange and I'm able to regen health. You know, I'm not usually under 50% health to get the benefit from it.
Right, and I use Courage, and I think if you want an economical build, you would want to use Courage also, but for what you're doing, because you have health regeneration, it's not that important.
Yeah, it's
correct?
like basically like a poor man's Hulk signature ability.
And then let's go into like what would be like the build that I use, which is not cheap. Now, I just want to say for all the people out there, both you and I have done this. We wait for the specials, we accrue credits. It's not like we dumped all this money into the game. I got, you know, a 3-for-1 special once. Isn't that pretty much what you do too?
Basically, yeah. I mean, this has taken me a long time to build it like this. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes a long time. I did do it when I got specials like that. And then I don't buy crystals, so all my units go towards masteries.
Okay, so now this is one of the parts in this offense build that starts to get moderately expensive, and that is precision and cruelty. And I got to tell you, I really liked it when I upgraded those, but that wasn't that cheap. I can't remember how many units it was, but it was probably about 1,000 to unlock those.
I think one's like 675, and the other's I think 6 stony cores.
Yeah, so now you are using 3 inside of your precision, and that's because you needed the points elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm still deciding. I still have 2 points left. I'm still deciding if I want to add one more in there or one more in glass cannon. And then I need one more in defense.
And you encouraged me to unlock glass cannon, so that's what I am doing right now is glass cannon, and it looks like I have the stony cores to do that, and that's probably where my next points will go. You have 2 there, and I have 1 there. Is there any reason not to go to 3, or is it just that you ran out of points? I ran out of points,
but I am a big fan of glass cannon. I think 7% increase in attack is huge. 7% decrease in health and 4 stars is not really that much, so I think the benefit outweighs the negative effects you get from it.
Okay, and now this is where it gets expensive. You've unlocked Recoil and double edge, and those only work if you have coagulate, correct?
Well, they work without it, but actually I gain health with double edge. I gain health instead of lose it. So with
Right.
double edge and coagulate, if I just had double edge, it would kind of balance out, and I wouldn't really gain or lose any.
And for me to do that and to unlock the rest of these and coagulate, you were estimating that it probably cost me anywhere from 3 to 5,000 units. You were telling me the
Yeah,
other
well,
day.
double edge is 4 carbonium cores, which is what, like 4,000, over 4,000 units. And then
Wow.
recoil, just to get level 1, is 1 core, I believe, 1 carbonadium core.
And you're not having a problem with recoil with the energy loss?
Not really, no, because I do have Doctor Strange again, which is, helpful to regenerate that health. But it's once you get used to it, it's not as bad. I hated it at first because if you're low on health and you hit a special, you're gonna die. So, but if you get used to it, it's not that bad.
For me, I don't have a 4-star Doctor Strange, so I don't know if I want to go that road right now, but I am definitely going to continue the glass
hmm
cannon at this
Yeah, and
point.
also too, I also gain a little bit of health with coagulate and double edge, so I kind of make up with that. With the what I do lose, I kind of make it up.
Okay, since we're talking about coagulate, let's go to the defensive tree. And I've got a lot of work to do on this, but let's talk about the staples in the defensive tree.
Okay, well, just like offense, you need 1 vitality, you need 1 and greater vitality to open the rest of the tree. Going
Hmm.
up towards the top, I just put 1 in salve. I don't find it too beneficial with 4 stars unless you're doing arena. It does give you a big PI boost, but I don't do arenas too often anymore. So
And when I did that, I went to 3 of 3, and now I really would only want 1 of 3 there. And that was when I was playing, in the 3-star arena with 2 stars. It actually was quite beneficial there, but
yeah,
nowhere
it's
else.
not.
It's a complete
Yeah, it's
waste now.
extremely beneficial with 2 stars, but 3 and 4 stars, you barely see any difference with it.
And I don't play in the 3-star arena anymore, so it's a complete
Yeah,
waste. And then pretty much a must-have on the economy build would be recovery, going to 3 of
I
3,
believe
correct?
so. Well, if you're gonna have willpower in there, I guess you wouldn't even be able to get willpower in an economy build though.
So it may not be that important unless you're going to do willpower, and willpower is expensive,
Yeah,
right?
willpower is 2,000 points. Yeah, over
Yeah,
2,000 points.
it's expensive, yeah. And I just want to speak for willpower myself. It is expensive, but it is almost a must-have if you want to finish like the quest modes in Act 4. It is useful almost always. It's like one of the best abilities in the game. At some point, I thought it was
Yeah,
broken.
willpower. Yeah, definitely is one of the best things you can have in the game. It's an
Okay.
absolute essential.
Yeah, so what happens is if you play heroes like Ant-Man or Captain America or Iron Fist, you just are gaining
Yeah,
health. I mean, they're just or some of those like green symbiotes, that give you fatigue. Any of those things, they just give you health. It's expensive, but it is so
it's worth
good.
it.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not a huge fan of spending a ton of money on this game, but that was really worth it. I just can speak for
yeah.
that.
That's willpower
Okay.
was awesome. It was a total game changer for me. So
Okay, and then let's look at this bottom tree, and this is a mess for me down here too. But I've got block proficiency maxed out like you do,
yeah, I got
right?
it maxed out.
And then perfect block, you don't need that because you use block proficiency teams,
Yeah, and
correct?
since my block proficiency is so high, I would benefit a little from having it, but I just don't think the cost is worth the outcome you get from it.
Okay, and just for anybody that doesn't know, explain the difference between perfect block and block proficiency. There's a lot of confusion on
Okay,
that.
block proficiency is the amount of damage, of incoming damage you can block. So the higher your block proficiency, the less incoming damage you're going to take. Perfect block chance is the chance to totally block all incoming damage, but it only happens a
Hmm.
very small percentage of the time.
Let me put it to you this way. On block proficiency, if you can add up this 8% plus your team bonus, like using Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, you get it above 43%. You will not take any damage when you
I
block.
thought it was 35, but I could be wrong on that. Or is it 42?
Well, 30, yeah, I think 35 plus the
Okay.
8 adds up to 43. Yeah, so if you get like 35 from your team bonus, the synergy bonuses, plus you have the 8% here, then you're not going to take any damage. Now, perfect block is basically, let's say someone hits you and you don't have a perfect block team, you're going to have a percent chance, which is only a 4% chance, that you're going to just take 0 damage. So it's not that useful. I probably could get rid of that
Yeah,
myself.
probably. You don't really need it. It's not needed. It's all right to have. It's not needed. I don't think it's nearly as needed as block proficiency.
Now, let's go to the utility tree, and this is where your build gets pretty exotic, and I just love it. Now let's talk about the two game changers and the no-brainers at first.
Parry and dexterity, absolutely needed.
Okay.
Absolutely needed.
Yeah, and you only need 1 point in dexterity and only need 1 point in parry, and both of those mechanics are no-brainers. And explain how they work.
Dexterity, you can dodge all incoming projectiles.
When you backdash, you're not going to take damage, and then you can hit back with a crit rate. You gain a little bit of crit advantage.
Yeah,
right?
you gain a certain percent. I think with one of three in there, you gain 10%.
I've got mine at 2 of 3, so I have 1 point too many there. I really only need 1 right there, so that was kind of
A common
waste.
mistake that I think we all learned by doing it was we all maxed it because we thought the more you had in there, the better you dodge incoming projectiles. But you don't. The level 1 of 3 in there is the best you're going to dodge projectiles with backdashing.
You need a 1. I mean, to me, it's like it changed the game when I got that. It's so useful all the time. It's just amazing. It really
it's
is.
amazing.
And then parry, you've got it at 1, and I've got it at 3. And you have it built a certain way, and I have it built a different way for different reasons. Now, you got to have at least 1 point in parry. And so, like, when you start the match, you can block. And what percent of the times do you see that you get a parry if you just block immediately at the beginning of the match?
Oh, probably
like half the
probably
time?
90%.
Yeah, so like right when the match starts, you just hit block, the guy attacks, and you get parry. It is amazing.
I actually
good.
have the timing down to a point where it's kind of almost hard for me not to parry anymore.
When you have parry, you end up, it's like you block at the last second, and there's a timing to it, and then they get stunned, and it's amazing. Now, the reason why I have parry at 3 is sometimes I accidentally backdash, and it's very useful because it increases the stun duration, and I've been using it with Storm and things like that. But you're doing something different with Thor, and maybe you should explain what you do with Thor, because you've got videos about that, and it's amazing.
Yeah, the reason I only have 1 of 3 in there is because I want the stun duration to be as short as possible so I can get off another parry to stack armor break again. So for me, it works to have 1 of 3 in there because I want it as short as possible. But if you're not doing the stuff with Thor, it's very beneficial to have the stun duration longer.
Okay, and so because I'm not using Thor, I also went and did Stupefy, which increases the stun. And I am finding that useful with anybody that has a first special stun. So like you stun them, I can staggered, dash attack twice, and then I can go into the dash, tap, 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 dash, and then I can almost always do a first special and stun again, and that's because I've got 3 points in parry and 3 points in Stupefy, but that would not help you at all because you're using Thor to parry, get a quick armor break, they unstun, armor break is still up, you stun them again by parrying, and then you get another armor break, and you stack the armor breaks, and then you do 100,000 points of damage, which is nuts.
That's insane. I love it. That's amazing.
All right. Now, let's talk about Petrify. So, I do not have Petrify. Why should I get Petrify?
Petrify is another thing kind of unique to my situation, I guess. I like it, and it's especially useful for champions such as Thor and Daredevil and Storm. Any champion that has a long stun, it keeps them from their power bar going up. And this is really helpful when the special 3 is activated because the longer you can keep that power bar from going up to a super, the better it's going to be. So for me, it's very helpful because I use it for Thor. And also I needed to have so many points. I needed to have, I think it was 11 points for Mystic Dispersion and utility before I could even unlock it. For me, it worked out good. I like it. I like having it, and I needed points there, so it worked out pretty good for me.
Some of these points that you have in your build were mostly to get the Mystic Dispersion. And what about Pacify?
Pacify was another thing. I didn't want to make my stun any longer, so it was another thing I had to put points in there. It's definitely not needed, but it is helpful. It's good to have. So
let's talk about Mystic Dispersion. Now you're using Mystic Dispersion, and you have that maxed out.
Yeah, I have it maxed out, and it's super expensive to max out. The first 3 levels are not too bad, but the level 4 and level 5, level 4 is 40 of those Mystic cores at 30 units each. They start to add up, and then at level 5, it's 80 of those Mystic cores at 30 units each, or 8,000 loyalty points. So they add up pretty quick.
Wow, yeah. 8,000 loyalty points is not as much as it used to be.
No, it's not as much as it used to be, but it adds up quick. I mean, I could have had I could have duped my 4-star Unstoppable Colossus by now if I didn't use my loyalty points to buy those cores, but I think what I gained from the benefit in Mystic Dispersion, I think, was worth it.
And that's because you're using Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
Correct. So every time a beneficial effect on the enemy expires, my power bar shoots up. I have a video of it showing it. I have a Mystic Dispersion video of it showing it when it was at level 4, and then on my newest Mastery video, I have it showing it at level 5. It's nuts how quick it jumps up, especially for champions like Superior Iron Man and Colossus who stack these armor ups. Every time one of those expires, you get 12% jump in your power bar, and that adds up quick. So
yeah, that sounds nuts,
yeah,
man.
it's nice. It's very nice to have.
Let's go back to the defense tree because we're going to talk about something else that you have that is very expensive, and you're using this because you have
Double edge.
Double edge, and it's called Coagulate. Basically, it decreases the effectiveness of enemy bleed effects, reducing their damage by 10%. So when you use double edge, you get bleed, and that counts towards Coagulate, and it also counts as a detrimental effect, so you're gaining health from willpower, and because you have Coagulate, you're actually gaining health.
I'm gaining health because it's reduced by 20%, so I will gain health for that 20 seconds you bleed from double edge. It's not eternal like liquid courage is all throughout the match. Double edge stops after 20 seconds. So during that 20 seconds, I will gain, I think it's like almost like 40 per tick, 40 health per tick. So
wow. That's very useful, and that is really expensive, right? It costs quite a bit to unlock Coagulate. Are you planning on taking it to 3, or are you going to just leave it at 2?
I'm going to take it to 3. I'm waiting to save up the units to buy another carbonium core, but I'm saving it for that, and I will have it at level 3, and then I need to decide where I want to put my last point after that.
Well, this is awesome, and be sure to like this video if you thought that this video was helpful, and please go check out Turbo Tim's channel. The link is in the description, and that is Turbo Tim's 10,000 plus unit mastery build. Oh my goodness.
Yep, I love it. Thanks for having me on here.
And as always, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.